So today we wanted to talk about getting unstuck. It's something most of our clients want to do, but it's also really important for us as practitioners that we get unstuck also. So today's focus is going to be about our clients and helping them get unstuck, and our next talk will be about practitioners and how we get ourselves unstuck. So let's start with our clients, since they're always at the heart of everything we do. I remember 10 or 12 years ago, one of the marketing brand pieces that we used to always put out to our clients is, if you're stuck in a rut, if you're feeling stuck, if you're caught in the same thing, coaching is for you. And it's no different today, really. A lot of our clients feel stuck, or as if they're going around in circles and they just can't move on. Now at this point, we know that values often is at the center of what allows us be unstuck, but there's much more to that. And I'd like us to consider, is there a good reason for staying stuck? Because sometimes in coaches, we take our clients and their agenda into the process and we get really excited about it and we think, oh, this is a really good goal. They want to be better in their current role. They want to be better in their relationships. They want to change career. There's something wonderful out there. And we are going to travel beside them through the process while they go get their wonderful. Sounds brilliant. But sometimes our clients are happy to stay stuck where they are because it's giving them something else. So I wanted to talk today about one of my many clients who feel stuck. But part of the outcome, and starting with the end in mind, is that we agreed through the coaching that staying stuck is exactly what she should do right now. So it's kind of an odd ending to coaching, because it's usually about moving on, but this one was about staying stuck. So this client came to me, she's a CEO, she's fantastic, and she is doing this brilliant job, and she wanted to work on initially around communication, because she reports to a board and it's really important that she represents the business really well to the board, but she was getting stuck in her communication. So, and again, I wanted to really highlight how important it is when our clients bring an agenda to us that we don't just accept it, that we look at what's behind it and what's the purpose behind that agenda. Because initially when I heard communication, I thought, brilliant, this is exactly the type of agenda I love. I love the power of language. I love understanding the impact language, both from a neuroception point of view, the signals we give off, our tone of voice, our energy, all that really excites me as a coach. So communication is one of these brilliant agendas to come in. So I took her agenda and we played with it for quite a while in understanding how she represents herself to the board. But after a while, and she was getting really good at this, and she was bringing some feedback back to the sessions and saying, yeah, that worked really well. But well, what's missing then? There appears to be something missing. No, I'm doing it all, but I don't know what it is. So when we considered the power of her communication, and I said, so if you think about the goal you had originally, your original agenda in being more effective as a communicator to the board, in your understanding and evaluation of that now, where do you think we are? And she said, I think I've overdone it. I said, what's overdone it? And I could feel myself being impacted. Why would you not want all that you're doing? And she said, well, if we were to measure it, I would say I'm probably 130%. I said, well, that's great, isn't it? 130%. Wow, super achievers. High five us, in my head, of course. Didn't do that out loud. But she said, no, I think I've overdone it. And I said, so tell me what's behind that. And interestingly, she said, I am too big for them. I said, great, tell me more about that. And she said, I can bring more to them than what they can receive. Yes, I'm the CEO, and yes, I have vision, but this is a group. This is a big group piece. And when I show up with all my vision and telling them what the team are doing and tell them what we're doing, how great business is, they don't want to hear all that. They would like me to present in the box of the business that I look after. They don't want more outside of that. So where I felt I wasn't doing enough, I'm now getting feedback that I'm doing too much. And what's happening is they're not ready for me. This was an amazing revelation to show up in the agenda. And we were like, wow, this is really good. We got sidelined on this agenda when we thought, great, if we unstick the communication skills and make them bigger and better, it'll work. But actually, we had to row back, which is a great thing to do in coaching. It's actually not as easy as it sounds, because you're thinking, how do you hold back when you've so much? How do you temper your potential? How do you stay knowing that you're under-actualizing yourself? How do you present a version of yourself? So when we considered again and measured, so if you think about the board, how much of you can they actually take? What's right to fit in terms of what the business needs? And she said, I think they can only take maybe 65% of me. And we laughed, because it was quite funny, again, because normally we're always looking for 100% and 110%. And on this case, we were talking about bringing less rather than more. So actually being stuck in a smaller version of herself and what she could bring and her potential was what we had to do for the purpose of her strategy and for her job and for the business that she was now in charge of. And that was quite a tricky agenda to row back on. It is as difficult as going shopping when you've got, when you've got that €50 and you think, great, I've got €50 to spend. And then you go, actually, I can't actually spend the 50. I'm only allowed to spend the 20. What will I do with this extra 30? And it's nearly wasted in your head, a wasted opportunity, a wasted version, part of you, a show of you, the best self that you can't bring in your everyday role, which is kind of tough to tolerate. So being stuck often involves tolerating the management of the piece of you that can't be shown up. You're constantly guarding, you're constantly going, now that's too much, row back. And that takes its toll. And it takes its toll on the being. It takes its toll on someone constantly having to quieten down their skills, their values, their strengths. Really having to be present is at the center of staying stuck. Being present allows you pause, manage your impulse control, and decide, in this situation, I can only afford to spend this much of myself, because anything bigger than that is more than what they've asked for, is more than what they've contracted for, is more than what they can handle of me right now. So when we considered what she wanted to do, again, we jumped to an agenda, maybe I should go and get a different job. Why would I stay stuck? But ultimately, that job and that role served for her a very strong, meaningful purpose. It was doing something that she really had considered from her career trajectory, something that was really important for her to do and to complete. So we agreed that she would contract with herself for a period of time to stay stuck in this role that was obvious that she wasn't allowed to be her best self in or show her full version of herself in. And we would build in coping mechanisms for her to manage not spending all of herself, but instead controlling and narrowing the focus of what she needed to bring to each situation and how she needed to communicate to a board and to the business so it wasn't overkill. Because that was part of the behavioral management that she needed to do for herself, for her role, for her staff, for her customers, and for the board that she had been hired in to do. So sometimes we get ourselves into situations in our lives where we grow past and evolve past the role that we've contracted for. It can happen in relationships, it can happen in jobs, it can happen in houses, and sometimes we just feel, I'm bigger than what this is. But maybe it's about considering when you leave that space. When is the best time to become unstuck? So just because a client says they want to be unstuck doesn't mean it's the right time to go. Maybe we need to build in coping mechanisms so they can stay where they are, because that's the right thing for them to do. So as coaches, we have to make sure we can adapt to the full agenda of our client and see them as whole systems and not just the exciting agenda they present with. Because we can run away with a fantastic agenda, but ultimately it may be the wrong agenda for that client at that moment. And maybe sometimes being stuck is exactly what the coaching needs to do, help our client cope with staying instead of going. So in the future, when you hear your client agendas and you get excited about them and there's an energy for them and it's about moving and movement and you go, this is going to be brilliant, I would like you to step back and look at the wider picture and even consider in terms of measurement how much of the client needs to be brought to that agenda. It's not always 100% and 110%. We're not always turning things up. Sometimes our job is to turn things down or keep our clients strong in the position that they're stuck in for a period of time. And that's really worth doing if that's what the agenda is. So hope you enjoyed today's talk on being unstuck. And the next time we're going to talk about practitioners getting unstuck, because that happens to us too, right? So see you soon, hopefully online or at QCC or at our next webinar.